They said the gods of the village had never failed. They said no one defied them and lived. But they forgot one thing. They said no one defied them meant. Some children are not born for sacrifice. A girl named Ada, by 17, her own parents tried to kill her. And what happened next turned gods into beggars and priests into mourners. Now let's watch and see who really has the final say.
Ada was born into a village where fear was taught before language. A place where carved wooden idols watched every household. Where blood has soaked into the soil for generations. And where drums at night were not for celebration but for summoning. In that village, no one questioned the gods. You obeyed them, fed them, feared them, and Ada's parents were not ordinary worshippers. They were chief priests, the voice of the shrine, the ones who decided when blood must flow and whose life was worthy of sacrifice. Ada grew up seeing animals dragged into sacred places. She learned early to look away when knives were raised. She learned not to ask questions, and for 14 years she lived like every other child. Until one Thursday morning, it was an ordinary school day, so it seemed. Students gathered for moral instruction in a large classroom, their chatter filling the air. Then a man walked in. He was tall, fair, handsome, but there was something else. A quiet authority that silenced the room before he spoke. He did not shout. He did not threaten. He spoke of love, of grace, of a God who did not demand blood to be pleased. Ada listened. As his words entered her ears, something unfamiliar stirred in her chest. Her heart began to race. Her throat tightened. When the man asked everyone to close their eyes and pray, Ada obeyed. That was when it happened. Tears rushed down her face without permission. Her body trembled as though something deep inside her had cracked open. She cried bitterly, not from fear, but from a strange recognition she could not explain. That day, sitting among hundreds of students who never noticed her tears, Ada gave her life to Christ. She did not tell anyone. She went home quietly. The shrines were still there. The chants still echoed at night. But something invisible had entered her life and refused to leave. As time passed, Ada grew, not just in age, but in hunger. At 16, she became restless. She prayed secretly at night. She whispered scriptures she barely understood. She longed for something she could not name. She wanted the Holy Spirit. Night after night, while her parents served idols in the dark, Ada knelt on her bedroom floor and cried softly, afraid to be heard, but unwilling to stop. Then another moral instruction day came, another preacher, another prayer session. But this time, something was different. After the prayers, a young dark-skinned man of God called her aside. She looked at her for a long moment, then spoke words that pierced her spirit. He told her things about herself no one had ever known. Ada trembled and confessed quietly that she desired to speak in tongues. But this did not yet have the gift. It was break time. The school compound was empty. The wind moved through the trees as if waiting. The man of God held her hands and began to pray. As he prayed, something fell, not gently, not slowly. Power rushed through Ada like the fire through dry grass. She screamed as words burst from her mouth, words she had never learned, sounds that did not belong to her language. She began to speak in tongues. Her legs weakened, her body shook, the atmosphere changed. When she finally returned to class, she bent her head on the desk and continued praying silently, unable to stop until the dismissal bell rang. From that day, Ada was never the same. At 17, people began to whisper. They said she was mad. They said she prayed too much. They say she spoke to herself at night. Ada prayed when others slept. She preached when others mocked. She formed a small fellowship in her school where students gathered to pray. But at home, something dark began to respond. Her parents noticed changes they did not understand. Sacrifices stopped working. The gods grew silent. The shrine lost its power. They blamed Ada. They beat her. They stabbed her. They threatened her life. Still, she prayed. Finally, a decision was made. One night, while Ada slept, her door creaked open. Something entered her room. Not footsteps, not breath. A snake. Black, thick, silent. The snake rose, coiling to strike, but suddenly it froze. Its strength vanished. Its body collapsed onto the floor, weak and helpless. Power filled the room. Ada woke up screaming and saw the snake. She grabbed a stick to kill it. Her father rushed in and shouted to her to stop. She picked up the snake and carried it away. That morning, Ada noticed something terrifying. Her mother was weak, her eyes empty, her strength gone. That was when Ada understood this was not hatred. This was war. She prayed more than ever. The villagers soon noticed. They gathered and warned her parents. They said Ada's presence was destroying their gods. They demanded she be taken away, and so Ada was banished. With insults thrown at her back, with curses spoken over her head, she walked away barefoot, crying, but she was not alone. Years passed. In another village, a strange family took her in. They did not know her past. They only knew that God was with her. The blind began to see. The sick began to rise. Her name spread from village to village. Then back home, the king died. The next king began to die too. No sacrifice worked. No priest succeeded until a young boy spoke of Ada. They searched for her. When they found her, she prayed. The king lived. As she preached to the village, an old man suddenly cried out her name. Ada! The village froze. Her parents recognized her. The gods they served had failed them, but the daughter they rejected had returned with power. They wept. The shrine were abandoned. The village turned to God, and the girl meant for sacrifice became the salvation of the very people who cast her out. Some children are not born to die for gods. They are born to expose them.